I've always loved to write, but Elegant Essay helped me learn how to organize a paper, and so I can write one more efficiently, which actually makes sense.
What I learned in Elegant Essay was how to write in C paragraph form.
This year in Elegant Essays, we learned a lot of things, but one of my most favorite things we learned was transitions. They allowed me to move smoothly from one thought to another, pulling the reader along with me. Along with the vivid imagery and descriptions we learned, it helped to bring the reader to the place I was describing or talking about. Thank you so much.
So in Elegant Essay, I learned to have better conclusions and better intros, making it more clear what I was going to talk about, and in the end making it more clear about how it was wrapped up, giving it a more fulfilling end, not just abruptly ending like I used to.
In Elegant Essay, I learned that using better transitions can help your paper flow more smoothly, and adding just the right amount of detail can make your paper more interesting and enjoyable for your reader.
My favorite thing about Elegant Essay this year was learning how to systematically write a paragraph. I really liked the layout in general. I liked how you started with a topic, then you went to statement, then example, then explanation, and end it with a clincher. It was a really good layout for the way I work, so I really enjoyed that. And I had a lot of fun writing fun, crazy papers about Thelma Lou Westbay and her, niece? Yeah, her niece, and all the crazy adventures she goes on. It was a lot of fun just experimenting with what I could write, and it was a lot of fun.
Okay. An Elegant Essay, I feel that my double C paragraphs have become better, and they make my papers more strong and give more examples.
Over the last part of this year, and taking speech was really good because I learned how to give a speech with minimum prompts. I started out having my entire paragraph written on my note cards, so it was very cumbersome trying to find where I was, but later I wrote just bits of sentences so to trigger my memory, and by doing that I got a lot smoother. When I started I stuttered a lot and it was pretty tricky, but towards the end it got a lot smoother.
So speech boot camp got me more confident giving speeches because I've never had a problem talking to people with just being in front of a crowd giving a speech.
One thing that I improved on during speech class this year was how to organize my thoughts and my ability to write speeches and give in front of people.
In speech class, I've improved on having more confidence when speaking in front of a crowd and using better hand gestures and making more eye contact with my audience.
I was really nervous at first, but after a while I got confident in front of my peers.
In speech boot camp, I gave my very first speech, and I also learned how to organize 4 different types of speech, such as narrative, descriptive, and persuasive.
During speech boot camp, we have lots of time to improve and to work on saying speeches better and better. Along with becoming more comfortable with talking in front of people, I learned how to slow down when I was talking. That I didn't need to rush through my point because then no one would get my point because I'd say it too fast for people to understand. So I've learned to slow down and let people get what I'm talking about.
So in speech, I progressed the most and benefited the most from having different types of speeches. I typically would only give more of a descriptive speech, kind of explaining stuff, but I expanded to different types of speeches, and ultimately that helped me.
In speech boot camp, I learned how to organize my speeches and learned about the different types of speeches, and also that I need to move around and include a few more gestures.
I thought Gifted Hands was a really nice book because we got to see the transformation of Ben Carson. He had really bad anger issues, and now he's one of the most calm people you ever meet.
For all the stories, I honestly really loved reading all of them.
My favorite book this year was Gifted Hands.
Why?
It was just a good book and it was very relatable.
Why?
In literature, one of my favorite books was The Outsiders because it was very realistic and it was also written by a teenager, so it makes it more relatable.
One of my favorite stories from this year is Thank You Ma'am because it shows that you can give kindness without receiving anything in return. My favorite book is Gifted Hands by Ben Carson because even though you are not successful at the time, it doesn't mean you can improve and be successful in the future.
My favorite book was Gifted Hands because it taught me that you can excel no matter what circumstance you come from.
Go.
So, I have two books that I like the most. The first one is Harrison Bergeron, or 2081. And that one is just interesting to see the different types of dystopian that they can make, trying to, that not necessarily having equal outcome is always the best. Equal opportunity might be good, but equal outcome ultimately can drag people down and further cause harm.
I've read The Outsiders before, but again, it was my favorite book. I really liked Dairy.
Go.
In literature, we also read The Interlopers, which is a story that I figured out you should never read when it's getting dark, as it will totally freak you out.
One of my favorite books I read this year was definitely the Gifted Hands book. I liked it because it was about a young boy who went from living in the hood, poor area, to becoming one of the best surgeons in the world.
The reason I liked Rules of the Game is because it teaches you about the Asian culture. Even though some people may not know about it, it's really prevalent in the book.
I really like the O. Henry stories, and in them we used one time a abridged and an unabridged version, and it was very easy to tell O. Henry's style of writing.
Gifted Hands, there was less of a distinct reason, unlike Harrison Bergeron, but it was just a generally fun book. It was insightful to see what all he'd gone through, and it helped just get a better idea of who he was.
My favorite book over the year was The Outsiders. I really liked it because of the friendship between Ponyboy, Dally, and Soda Pop. And I loved the way the author wrote the story. She had a good flow, and you could really imagine what it was like for her because she grew up in that type of world. So she really had firsthand experience. So she used a lot of detail, and you could really picture the different things she wrote about, and I thought it was a really great book.
In a short story called Thank You Ma'am, this young boy tried to rob this woman of her purse, try to buy shoes, and it was just cool how she gave him grace at the end of it.
I also liked The Ransom of Red Chief because it had a lot of humor in it because the annoying little kid they tried to kidnap made the people who kidnapped him pay the father to take him back. So.
The Outsiders was a much faster paced book, and I liked it a lot more though because it had a lot of detail and moved very quickly.
Yeah. I enjoyed eating that chocolate taste test and that ice cream with apples. No, it was the ice cream with pie, apple pie, from Olivia. And for the record, Gabe, I can beat you with some push-ups.
My favorite thing about class was meeting a lot of people. And also Gabe's poem speech was just great. And my favorite memory was probably the Instagram hack.
Of course.
Okay, go.
One of the most funniest moments of this year was definitely when we hacked Miss B's iPhone or iPad and posted a comment saying we were her best class on Instagram.
You created a war.
So my favorite memory was probably when we were doing the impromptu role change. It was so much fun, and it was really funny because we went on this whole thing about, I think it was Gabe's shoe. It was so funny, and we had a lot of fun. That was probably my favorite memory because it was fun just to see everyone get crazy with it and just make up things on the fly, and that was probably my favorite memory.
Mrs. Blankenship and I were coming to class because we had been talking since I had missed the previous class. And as we were walking up to the house, I looked in the window and everyone was running out of the room. And we came inside and there was no one in the room anymore, but there were all of their folders. And then after a while, they came giggling down from upstairs, and they had apparently been trying to pretend no one came to class, but they left all of their folders around the table, so.
The funniest speech was Gabe's pun speech.
One of my favorite fun memories was when the class blasting with comments on how jealous they were that we were her favorite class.
The other perk, aside from, the whole learning thing, free food.
If I were to choose a favorite memory from class, it'd definitely be the time we stole your iPad and got into it using your very easy to decode password and took a selfie of our entire group. Then posted it on Instagram along with writing next to it, best class ever. Later, as we were all sitting there during class, your iPad started ringing and buzzing with messages from other students asking why you thought we were the best class ever, and quite frankly, they were all very offended. It was quite funny. We were all laughing very hard.
So before you give a speech, some people are a little bit nervous about it. So the easiest way is just to get your blood flowing. So, pre-speech workouts.
Beat you, Gabe. Beat you.
I think I can beat him. He's wrong.
You see, my hand was hurt, bruh. Okay?
Yeah.
1.
Paul is just wrong. I can do better push-ups than him. So, it's really, these free speech push-up stuff, he really doesn't have a hoop in it. I fully beat him.